Peace and greetings. Welcome back to another moment in time with me, Deja Serenity. And today I want to talk about why I am breaking up with the spiritual community.
I hope you find serenity. I hope you find serenity.
Yes, you heard it here. I recently made a video about, I can't remember how I titled it, but it was about like spirituality meaning nothing if it's not fully embodied. And so I kind of want to elaborate more on the topic. And since then, I've just been consistently getting these, reminders of all the ways in which this spiritual community that I've before really aligned myself with is in a lot of ways not resonating with me anymore. And I saw a post on Instagram. I'll have to go back to search for it to see who the creator was who made this post. But she titled her post, "Why I'm Breaking Up with the Spiritual Community," and shared a variety of reasons. And it was right in alignment with how I was feeling, right? And even as I say this, I don't mean to say that I'm no longer spiritual, that I no longer practice spirituality in a way that works for me. But it's just like this kind of like culty type of vibe where everyone believes all the same things. And, there's this level of spiritual bypassing really that I'm noticing that I can't support anymore. And I'm even seeing the ways in which how I used to practice and used to really articulate what I was learning through spirituality in some ways was problematic because it was only honoring the spiritual and it was completely dishonoring the physical. It was saying the physical literally doesn't matter. It doesn't exist. It's not real. The only thing that really matters is the higher self, higher consciousness. And it still ended up being this hierarchy that we were trying to get away from as we've been working on decolonization, disconnecting from the programming that we grew up with, from the systems that we grew up in, seeing them for the unjust and unconscious places that they are and wanting to create something new, or at least something more conscious, but still finding ourselves in a hierarchy, still finding ourselves in a place where like some people are up here because they've done certain things or because they know certain things, because they practice life in a certain way. And again, finding like this, it's almost, when I say hierarchy, it's almost like this sense of classism that I'm seeing even within the spiritual community. I also shared a video a few months back about how I'm an ex-vegan. I used to be a vegan. And this is one of the ways in which I see this kind of, this vibe of hierarchy come up. People feel like if you eat meat, you're low vibrational, and therefore will place judgment on people who are not practicing veganism. And for me, I'm like, I thought the whole point of this was freedom and understanding and compassion, not like I'm better than you because I've learned this and I'm practicing this in this particular way, So that's why I'm no longer with it. I no longer support it. And even in my video, like, I'm not anti-vegan. I absolutely eat vegan meals. A lot of my friends are vegan. I love their food. I'm happy to enjoy vegan food, but I'm not a vegan. I eat meat. I eat eggs. I eat cheese. And I just feel, and even now, I feel like, because I've also internalized some of the newer programs of like, being vegan is the cleanest and most conscious way to eat. And sometimes I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, like I'm not as conscious as I used to be, or they're more conscious than me because they're choosing not to eat these things. And it's like, honestly, look, we are all here to have a human experience, and each of our experiences are going to be unique and look a little bit different. And not a single one of us is more valuable than another. Because when the day comes for us all to lay these physical bodies down, we just all gonna lay them down, and none of that's gonna really matter. So yeah, I do still care about conscious living. I care about how I treat others, how I treat the planet, and I do my best to live in alignment with that belief. I just don't believe that there's only one true way to be, spiritual or to be conscious. I believe it looks a lot of ways. And honestly, the deeper I've gone into spirituality in these last, I'd say really the last 10 to 11 years have been the years where I've been more interested in spirituality, thinking about things like even astrology, crystals, the law of attraction, conscious living, sustainability, all these different kind of things that have been coming up for me in these last 10 years. And the deeper I go into them, it's funny because it's kind of full circle, right? Like you get to a point, like I got to this point where I was like, no, I will not eat meat because I care too much about animals. And then I went through that journey of 2 years, 2 years being vegan, but actually being vegetarian is like maybe 4 years or 3.5 years, going through that time of not eating meat and getting to another point where I'm like, actually, I am okay with this. Like even in a deep place, I'm okay with the act of consuming flesh. I'm okay with that. And my body is okay with it, or else it would have bad reactions to it, but it's not. It actually feels perfectly fine while consuming this. So a lot of things have come full circle. Another thing that I'm coming full circle on right now that I'm like, I used to believe this so much, but now I'm like, I don't know, is that the full story? I feel like some forms of spirituality, like we're able to practice them only because we have a position of privilege. Like, and there's another creator I'm following online who shares a lot about this topic. I'll have to find his name and share. I think he's like from Australia or somewhere, but I saw a post that he made that also really resonated with me. And it was all about like, spirituality and privilege. How it's easy for us to say when we're living, in the Western world, like, oh, just think good thoughts and good things will happen to you. And if you're experiencing it, it's because you created it for yourself. So if there's something you're experiencing that you don't want, you have to like change your vibration, change your frequency. And it's like, can you give this same advice to the people in Congo? Can you give this same advice to the people in Gaza? Can you give this same advice to like people who are literally impoverished and living in slums in India? And I'm not saying it's not valid to tell people like that they need to like, regulate their emotions and try to feel good. But people literally living in poverty and living in slums and living in war zones, children being born into that, children, literal babies, infant babies starving because their mother can't produce milk. In what way did that infant baby create that reality? Don't worry, I'll wait. Drop your answer in the comments. Because now I'm in this place where I'm like, damn. How is it that even babies and small children can live in, abuse, live in war zones, live in poverty? They're not even old enough to like have the conscious awareness to be like, well, if I think differently, then different things will happen. And honestly, most of the time kids are thinking really positive. Most of the time, whatever they're born into, they're going to still find a place to play. And they're not like immediately discouraged by the world, even if they're living in a really difficult situation. It takes a while to take that light from a child. So how is it that these things are like that this reality is being created for them? Right? So it's honestly been pissing me off now when I hear it because I'm like, there's so much more to the story. There's so much more to the story. I see it in my own life. And honestly, I know lately I'm on my pregnancy journey. I've been sharing about, dealing with prenatal depression and negative self-talk and all these things that I've been going through. But in general, and especially before being pregnant, I'm one of the most positive people I know. I'm somebody who really, I really walk into the world with an open heart and I'm like, everything's going to work out for me. And shit still goes wrong sometimes. And I be looking deep within myself. I'm doing the work because I'm the one who believes that shit. I would be like, well, if I'm going through it, then I must be creating it. That must be telling me that, I'm doing something and all these things. And honestly, it gets to a point where it's like, I'm not able to hold anyone else accountable or anything else accountable for anything that I experience now, because if it's all me, then it's just all me. And sometimes that actually starts to make it hits a wall for me Where I'm like, well, now I don't know what else to do, because I sit in prayer and in meditation, and I envision things getting better. I envision the things that I desire, but it's not always all materializing. Not because I don't believe in it. I believe in it. I believe that I'm deserving. I know that I'm worthy. And I also know that, my energy is so loving and so generous that I deserve to get that, in response. But I don't always get that. So now I'm like, well, what more is there besides just being in that energy? What more is there? Now I'm looking at, okay, well, what about the world around me and the energy each individual is in? It's also this idea that, like, another spiritual idea that I'm coming full circle on, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what I think about this anymore. Yes, we are all one. Yes, we are all connected to the same source of life. And I shared this in my past video too, so if you saw that one, this may be repetitive, but just because we're all connected doesn't mean we're not all individual pieces of a whole, right? So I can't just believe that every single thing that I see, I am creating, because then I'm thinking that I, Deja, am creating this entire world. And that's sometimes like the understanding I've been getting from other, spiritual people who have shared this, like, nothing exists without you. You're creating everything. And I'm like, there's some things where I'm like, I don't see why I would create that. Like me, Deja, me, this individual body. Now I can see how I'm creating, and this person is creating, and this person is creating, and this person is creating. Like, we're all, an embodied form of human consciousness, projecting beliefs and programs out into the world. And now all of those things being projected, like each of my fingers is a person projecting things out in the world. Now all those things have to interact with one another. All right. So it creates diversity, and it creates differences. Sometimes it creates resistance. Sometimes there's clashing, but it's all because I alone am not creating this entire thing. I no longer believe that. And I've been in a situation, a lot of my friends that I have here in Costa Rica believe and speak about how we are God. And like, they'll say, you are God, you are everything. Everything exists within you. And on some level, I understand the sentiment. But now I'm like, but I'm not creating all this. Like me, Deja, me, this one body that holds just a piece of all of the consciousness that is all that is God. I am a piece of that, but I am not all of that. I'm not creating everything. If it was up to me, it wouldn't be no suffering at all in the world, especially the suffering of children. If it was up to me, there would be so much more fairness and compassion and generosity and community. And it's so easy to be like, because what I'm also noticing is this detachment from what's happening in the world. Because it's like, well, that's not it's not, if you can't see it, it's not really real. Whatever's happening right here is all there really is. And I'm like, I don't know about that. When other people share their stories with me, and there are people from other parts of the world that are going through things, I know there's a lot of things going on in the States right now that's got people up in a frenzy. Like, sure, I have the privilege to not have to see it in my face, because I have enough privilege to have afforded a plane ticket and be able to relocate to another country. I have the privilege, based on my education, to even, be perceived in a way that people are able to accept. And when I think of this, I think about, for example, homeless people, in the States, and how they're so dismissed. And I'm sure there's a lot of complexity here. There's a lot more going on, but they don't have the same privilege that I have to just leave, and I'm sure it can start with them thinking good thoughts, but that's not the end of it. It's also everything that they've experienced that's getting them there. And everything that they've experienced is also programming their mind. Right? I have also a level of privilege because I have both of my parents in my life. They might not have been together when I was growing up or even now, but still I have parents who love me. I have parents who went through enough that they were at the very least able to provide physically for their children. Like, I'm coming from privilege. And while there's always been challenges that I've faced certain challenges in this life, there's other people facing much more difficult challenges. So it's probably a lot harder for them to get to this place of everything's going to be okay. I can trust. I can release, you know. It's like there's more to it, y'all. There's more to it. And it gets to this place for me, like I said, I'll come back to this term of spiritual bypassing, where people use these spiritual terms and ideologies to kind of bypass, you know, acknowledging the depth of trauma, and, you know, to bypass acknowledging systematic oppression and things that have been created by many different minds over years and years and years, generations, over generations. I feel like there's so much more here, and maybe I should have written this down in order to like be more clear, but I trust that if you get me, you get me, and if you don't, you don't. But basically, this is why I'm saying I'm breaking up with the spiritual community. Like, there's a lot of things I don't believe anymore. I don't believe it's just think good things and good things will happen. I don't believe that's the say all be all. I'm still going to think good things as much as I can, but I don't believe that that's the only reason that good things can happen to me. I also recognize that also good things happen to me because of my privilege. And sometimes in the places where I lack privilege, bad things happen to me. And I see people who have more privilege than me, who are able to have access to resources that I struggle to access. And I'm not struggling because, you know, I'm any type of victim. I really work really hard. And I really put myself out there, and I believe, and I pray, and I sit with my altar, and I say to my ancestors, like, this is what I want to create. This is the pure, loving intention that I have. And then, you know, things still fall apart, or things don't work out, or things for me are just happening at a lot lower level. And then I see other people who have what I can perceive as a lot more privilege than me, who want to do similar things to me, and they just do it like that. And it's not because they're thinking more good thoughts than I'm thinking, y'all. It's because they have other resources that I don't have. Not to say I can't get to a place where I can access more resources. Never in a place of limiting myself, but just seeing and observing and recognizing, oh, I see how that worked out for them because they have access to these things. I'm going to keep striding towards having more access to more things. I'm not going to let this stop me, but I am going to acknowledge it. And I see other people who have less privilege than me, who have less things than I do. And I recognize that's not because I'm working any harder than they are. There's all these circumstances that are also having an effect. All these different social circumstances. So these are some of the things around spirituality that I'm like, you know, it's just not hitting like it used to. It's just not hitting like it used to. And even like something else that I share about and that I hear a lot about within the spiritual community is this, you know, there's no wrong. Everything happens for a reason. Like, all right, everything happens for a reason. But sometimes I see it being used in a way like, so no wrong was done, no harm was done, and so no accountability needs to be had. Like, bro, be so fucking for real. Everything that happens, trust. I'm going to find the lesson. And I'm always going to look back at myself and say, what could I have done differently or whatever? But even things I have done, even things I've done to other people, I can see where I've made mistakes. And I'm not going to say everything just happened for a reason and they were meant to learn that lesson through me. And so it just happened as it should have happened and there's no mistakes. It's like, I get how that's an easy way, like that's a way to kind of accept what has happened so you can move forward. But I feel like it's also, again, bypassing accountability. No, I recognize that there were mistakes made. There was unconscious behavior here, or behavior that was coming from a place of emotions, or, you know, reacting, or whatever the case may be. But I'm willing to say sorry and to say I could have done better, and then to actually do better. You know, I get this, and I'm not going to go on a whole tangent right now, but my baby daddy, I told y'all I'm pregnant, for those of you who don't know me, my baby daddy is so spiritual, and he doesn't do the physical things that he needs to do because of it. And he has literally traumatized me and a long line of women because he's so spiritual that sometimes I feel like he just doesn't care about his impact in the physical world. Like, he could literally, you know, traumatize me more than anyone has ever traumatized me in my life. And I'm not getting into the details, but like, really, he did me so wrong in our relationship, which is why we're not together. Like, I can't even begin to describe how painful this experience was. And now, as we're trying to, like, you know, make amends in a way so that he can still be a part of the child's life, potentially, if he wants, he'll say shit like, I trust everything happened as it should. Now you about to piss me the fuck off. Cause not you lying to my face several times was everything happening as it should. What? Don't use that shit to get past your fuckery. No. I refuse to accept that. And I've told him this. This ain't no news to him. I've told him this. I'm like, yeah, I've learned lessons from this fucked up situation, but I would have much rather learned other lessons through a better situation. And he even had the nerve one time to say, well, do you believe you create your reality? Yo, I could throw up. Because the situation that I went through with him, I'm like, I'm looking at myself too. Because again, the spiritual community, well, if you're going through it, if you see it in someone else, it's in you. So you need to be looking at yourself and never looking at other people. I'm looking deep in myself. I'm looking at the depths of me. And I'm like, nah, that ain't me. Because I ain't a fucking liar. And because not a single thing he was doing to me was I doing to him. Not a single thing. And the way I was thinking good thoughts and just showing this man pure, unconditional love, telling people good things about him, talking to my best friends and my mom, like, oh my God, I think I met my husband. I love him so much. Talking about all the good things about him, all these great things, all this good energy, believing it, praying over it, talking to him about it, always acknowledging the ways in which, you know, I adored him. And then I find out, oh, he's not meeting me with the same energy. He's literally talking badly about me to other women who he's trying to be with at the same time. And then talking badly about them to me. Like, no, let's be so for real. So that is another reason that like shattered my, you know, this spiritual delusion of just be that what you want and you will have it. Because I was being what I want in every way. If someone was to really step up and love me the way I love, I'd be perfectly fine. I have zero regrets about how I showed up. But I was still being met with this other shit. And again, having all these spiritual ideas is what got him in that delusion of like, well, everything's as it's meant to be. Everything's fine. Like, no, it's not fine. It's not fine. It's not. You need to do better. Have a better impact on the world around you. And the wombs around you. And can't nobody ever convince me that I created that. Because again, I'm looking at my energy, on my beliefs, and what I know that I deserve. So if I'm only looking at myself in that situation, now I'm tearing myself down. When the reality is it's this other person too who needs to do real work on themselves to shift how they show up and how they treat people. So that's really where I'm at right now. I'm like, Inner work is important. We all must do it. None of us are perfect. We might make decisions that aren't the best. We might make the mistakes along the way. But I can't only ever look at myself. I also have to hold others around me accountable, and also notice the ways in which I need to perhaps set a strong boundary. Like I can't have everybody or anybody in my life, because not everybody's moving with love. It's like telling a woman who's getting beat on, like, everything happens for a reason. What did you do to attract him beating your ass? Like, can we be so fucking for real, y'all? I'm so done with this. I really am. I'm truly done. I'm truly done. I'm sure more will come to me later, and maybe I'll do another video in the future, but this is what I wanted to express. And I want to know how y'all are feeling as well. I want to know if other people are kind of getting this vibe within some of these spiritual, like, you know, messages that are being put out as like a cure-all, save-all. But then they're not really incorporating the nuances and the complexities of humanity. And it's about to piss me off. I'm sorry for cussing so much in this video. Y'all see I'm upset. So yeah, let me know what y'all think and we can unpack it more. Thank you so much for listening. And of course, I hope you find serenity.
Hope you find serenity.